Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes, as you know, we produce premium content for our Patreon audio listeners. And this one's going to be on YouTube as well for all of the Mandem. So very quickly, support for this episode is brought to you by our good friends at Market Squawk.
Squawk. I was like, do I? Yeah.
Always. You have to do it now. Stay in touch with financial news that matters to you. Market Squawk, powered by Live Squawk News, is a live streaming financial news service that lets you know where the market is moving in real time. There's no subscription, which means that you can come and go as you please. So we've gone over this before. If you're on Revolut punting XRP, maybe you need a little bit of news. If you're buying a fresh new gold chaps and then going down to jewelers and then getting it pawned out and you're saying that you're now a gold trader, probably would also help you. As we said before, going down Travelex, changing up some dollars, telling boo-boos that you're a Forex trader. All good. All of these things are excellent. And Market Squawk can help you with that.
Squawk.
Powered by Live Squawk.
Power.
Anyway. The subject of this evening is because there's been an awful lot of new media goings on. So there was a pretty solid hour-plus interview on IFL with AJ. There's been more stuff with Dillian. I've been left to my own devices a lot because I'm on the tube quite a lot now, which means there's a lot of thinking time streets, and you know that's bad. So, yeah, no, well, I'm always on the tube. Sometimes I don't even wear a mask because Mans is a bad man. What? Most of the time I wear a mask, though.
Since I got the bicycle, man, the thing that I'm most grateful for is not having to do the morning commute on the tube, you know, where it's just like head in armpit and fucking misery.
I can't fathom riding a bike at 5:20 in the morning. I can't. I'd die. I'd be dead. But there is a geezer I see every morning around here who has a seat on his e-scooter and he's got lights all over himself and a crash helmet. What a fucking hero.
Lights is one thing I do probably need.
No, but he's got them on his shoulders. He's wearing like full bike leather that he's like just zhuzhed up with lights. It's very, very unsettling when he whizzes past when you're like, oh, mate.
I saw this fucker the other day and like the frame of his bike had fucking indicators on it. So it was like lit down. And then I don't know how the fuck he did it, but yeah, basically there would be a right indicator and a left. Well, I only saw him turn right, but yeah, there was a fucking right indicator.
Listen, when these people appear to be from the future, there has to be, right? But, you know, that makes perfect sense. But someone somewhere has implemented that to a level that, it just makes me uncomfortable. Right. So, in the current situation, our boy Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, is WBC heavyweight champion. Okay. Everyone has kind of seen that at some point over the next couple of weeks, they will mandate Dillian Whyte, who's been on the bench, 3 years? An unreasonable amount of time to become the WBC mandatory. Okay. So kind of like the sports conspiracy ones before. So we have Fury and then now Usyk, who's just beat AJ and he's taken the other 3.5 belts. Okay, Fury is considered to be the lineal champ, which means you are considered by the boxing fraternity and press that you are the man of the division.
You're the man that beat the man.
Yeah, honestly, for me, AJ and by proxy now Usyk, I think, is the top one simply because of the resumes and everything going on. Yes, Fury is a phenomenal talent. If it's purely done on owning a piece of silverware, I disagree with that. But yeah, regardless of that. So there's been a lot of talk of DAZN consuming BT Sport. Frank Warren come out and said that he's got exclusive rights to be the only one that can show boxing on the platform, which says to me that he doesn't quite understand what's going on. I think he thinks that maybe BT are buying DAZN. So that was a very confusing interview as far as I was concerned. And it's rare to see Frank out. But he was like, no, I've got exclusive legal rights to be the only one that can do that with Queensberry and BT Sport. And it's like, yeah, but if DAZN own that.
Do you reckon they've just given him a bit of paper because they know that they're getting bought? And they're like, yeah, of course you are, Frankie. Go on. You're the only one until we get bought. And then you don't have shit.
Yeah, then you're gone. But that being said, right? So Frank has got Daniel Dubois, who, due to, you know, big respect to Mr. Warren, due to his maneuvering and finagling, has landed Daniel Dubois as the WBA mandatory #1 challenger. What the fuck? Who knows, right? Then you have Joe Joyce, who seemed to us to have been absolutely and utterly fucked over by Frank. But now it seems like there was a little bit of method to it, right? So he's WBO #1, which means that in approximately 2.5, 3 years, he will be called to fight whoever is the WBO heavyweight champion, be it Usyk, be it AJ, be it Fury, whoever. He's #1 for that. But he's also #3 for the WBC. Or #2 for the WBC. He's very high for the WBC. Now, in a few days' time, when it all gets announced that Fury and Dillian are going to be mandatory in outcome 1, do you really think that, knowing the amount of money that DAZN have deep in the vault, the amount of money that Matchroom have and the power that Matchroom have, can you really see Frank losing a purse bid and allowing Fury to fight on a Matchroom card to fight one of their fighters? Now, bear in mind, when Uncle Larry fought on Frank card, they nicked his music. Right? That's relatively small haul for the heavyweight championship of the world. There is simply no way that Frank is letting that happen. So maybe insert Joe Joyce as the Queensbury approved, BT Sport approved challenger to Tyson Fury. And the way that maybe happens is that Fury becomes franchise champion, gets elevated above. Maybe you have Joe Joyce fight who knows who.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how that all gets remedied, which means that Dillian's kind of left out in the dark again, doesn't he? Or he maybe wins like a minor version of the WBC belt. Anyway, the IFL interview with Cougs and AJ was really interesting, right? Because it was an angry AJ, which is nice to see. And it was an AJ, like, so like, in your opinion, like, where does the main criticism come from with Joshua? I don't mean like style wise. I mean, as a person.
The main unwarranted criticism, I think, is it's a double-edged sword. Like, people build him up to be like a god. So when he doesn't act accordingly, everyone jumps immediately off the bandwagon. And people just need to see it for what it is. Great ambassador, specimen of a human with flaws that are apparent. And when it comes up to a certain level of competition, they show that's it. You know, it's still like, after that Usyk fight, there shouldn't have been like other than, okay, that was a terrible game plan. But he fought his heart out, did the best he could against an amazing challenger. That's the way you view it. Not, you're overrated, you know, never shit and blah, 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 blah. People just invest everything. AJ will knock anyone out. Fury, one punch and he's done and blah, blah, blah. And then after Ruiz, half the bandwagon jump. Now, almost everyone's off. So it's just so, yeah, I mean, I know, well, the thumbnail that's going to be for this is getting behind our fighters. It's a great thing, actually, because one thing I noticed, like, Australia, very few sports do we do good in, and like we bicker amongst ourselves.
I'm going to do this because it's so annoying. Do well.
Thank you. But very few, and like we'll fight against each other, like state to state, because we're not close to anyone, so we have to fight amongst ourselves. But when
one second.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of an interrupt there. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
As you were saying, Aussie fighters, yeah.
Yeah, or like any sport, we'll kind of bicker amongst ourselves, but we do come together, like when there's an international thing. And there is a bit of shit talking, but for the most part, one thing I did notice here, and I think it's the not real supporters. It's kind of like when it's in the media. The first thing I noticed, it was football, a World Cup. I mean, I talk about like the World Cup, everyone was like, yeah, we're going to fucking win this. And the second that it didn't happen, it was like, these motherfuckers ain't shit. And I was like, whoa, they're still your
the
guys.
European Cup.
Yeah.
And everyone immediately got like wildly racist towards 3 young black boys who
that's
absolutely and utterly crushed it.
Yeah, but I mean, like back like 14 years ago when I first came here, it was my first time. I was like, whoa, shit! It's still like they're your guys, you know. Like, yeah, they didn't win, but fuck it, you know, they're still your guy. And it does seem to happen with and this is the thing with AJ. He's got more of the tack on supporters, not the real boxing fans. So I think that's why it's so much more for him.
He's the second biggest name in boxing.
Yeah,
but he's the biggest name of the big men, which makes him kind of the biggest name. He is a superstar.
Yeah, and it is. I think here it's those add-on ones that makes the problem, because some of the smaller fighters, like I don't think it's as big with Dillian. I don't, because I think more of Dillian's followers are actual boxing fans.
Yeah, you know I mean, like, you know, we as Brits, we do have a big history of this. Like Calzaghe could do no right. You know, it was like the last 2 fights that people started to like him. Froch, Froch was another one.
Yeah,
no, like how could you not love Froch as a fighter?
Yeah,
he travelled. He was a road warrior. The geezer went into the Super 6. You know, he got into the final.
But I mean, did you know he sold out Wembley?
Yeah, exactly. But that's a big part of it, right? Because he's toiling for so long. He's telling like Sky on pay-per-view. They're like, no, you ain't. So now when he's finally got his pay-per-view, he's letting every fucker know about it still.
My favourite was when he was sat next to Floyd.
Oh my God. I saw that you were chopping trees. I was also chopping trees for my fight that was in front of 85. How many was yours in front of? Oh yeah. It was bad. But like, you know, we do have a history of it. The only fighter that I can remember that never got criticism really for his fights was Ricky Hatton. Like,
I was say Ricky.
We loved him when he lost. We loved him when he won. We all mugged him off when he got so fat. His problems came after he. Yeah, but he did too. But his problems came after he retired, when he got on the old blizz and started to get a little bit wild. And then, even then, it was more like poor Ricky.
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't like some people that's happened to, and they're like, what a prick. I always knew he was on packet. You know? I mean, like Lennox is still not really loved.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre. Like Frank Bruno's super loved. I mean, was he really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's but we do have a long history of doing this, and AJ, I think, is probably the biggest one of a very long time. And at the beginning, everyone was calling him fake, and I don't know if. So we spoke about this before. The AJ that is AJ. And you know, you've done bits with him, and I know a couple of people that know him quite well. You know, they say that pretty much what you see is what you get. Like, he is a fun guy, he's a humble guy, he's a very hard-working guy. But let's not forget, he did get banned from Watford, right? That's fact. He did get banned from Watford. Boxing ultimately saved him. And they've done
a great job with it. He's
they've
very
done
well
a
managed.
Fantastic job, right? But that's kind of my point, is that we've seen it a few times. When you've mugged him off, and that's why we have Watford AJ, right? Yeah. When Watford AJ comes out, which is all that was in that interview. All of it was Watford AJ, and every now and again he'd switch back into like gold medalist statesman, and then come back again. It's quite nice to see. Of course you can.
I wasn't, and like I said, I haven't seen the whole thing. Yeah. But I've seen the snippets of the, you know, like, this is war, he might get thrown on the ground. I wasn't really buying it, like, because it's like the talk is one, because I think what he's seen is like, okay, this time it was like too friendly, I need to go into the trenches, and of course you're gonna have to sell it, but it's like, I think it needs to be almost like fucking like remember before the Ruiz rematch, you didn't hear shit from AJ.
No,
it was just like nothing. He was like not on social, there wasn't the advertisements, he was just in fucking training. Then he came back, did it, and then started talking. And it's almost like you kind of need that for this, because all well and good, I'm going to do this. Well, you're not going to throw him on the ground. It's not like, if you're going to just straight out go to war, that's probably not the smartest plan. You know, it's just, I was a bit like, we want to see that in action. So some people will be like, fuck yeah, he's back. And I don't know, man. It's a hard fight. And, yes, he's fucked if he does, fucked if he doesn't. Because if he doesn't say shit, equal amount of people will be like, oh, yeah, he's not hungry. He doesn't want it, whatever. I just hope that the game plan changes, whichever way the decision goes. More aggressive AJ is definitely the way. Just for me, the talking, I was just like, okay, cool.
I know what you're saying, because he was saying very angry words, but in a very flat tone.
Yeah.
Now, there's a difference between being that kind of like
I'm getting riled up just talking about it. So, okay.
Well, no, I tell you who does it really well is Loma. You know when someone's fucked Loma off, and he just is like, okay, or Triple G. Are you serious?
Yeah.
And then they say yes, and he goes, okay. At that point, you're like, oh, okay. I get what you're saying, right? And I think that he's kind of stuck between who he has to be and who he is.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you're Hollywood Allen, right? So it's only a matter of time before Hollywood Allen comes up against the Depp. Now, everything that I hear about Johnny Depp is that he literally has no personality whatsoever, because all he is the fucking Willy Wonka, Jack Sparrow, the characters that he consumes, he becomes. Daniel Day-Lewis is apparently the same. I'm wondering if they've done such a good job with AJ that he can't actually break out of that as a person. I kind of believed what he was saying. Like, as emotion hippie, and I'm a Pisces in the Sagittarius movement. You can see the fire.
I'm just like, fucking say what, just do it in the ring. Like, I think that's my thing. Like, I also felt like he's kind of stuck between, and to me, it doesn't fucking, whatever sells the most tickets, just in the ring, be the fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, from my perspective, is like there was a lot of that interview that felt like it was selling the next fight in like pseudo hype, right? Yeah. And of course it is, but like you said,
must also think both times I've been nice, it's gone fucking terribly. Like letting Ruiz hold his belt and just like being chill with Usyk.
Yeah, when they're too chill, you know that was bad, and we did bring this up in the preview to that fight, that this super nice, like, to be fair, like with Pulev, it didn't even seem like it was needed. Like, he just switched on him for some reason. He done something, and then that was it. Like, I don't know what happened there, but yeah, when he's too friendly, it's like he's switched back to like jab and move, get away with it.
This is what I mean. There needs to be that disconnect between what he's saying and what he's doing. Like, whatever the fuck you're saying, it should, like, if you're being friendly, that shouldn't affect the fight. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but then
so many people that go into the ring, like Fedor will never say a bad word about anyone, but
because he doesn't speak.
Yeah, he's just ready to murder.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And I think it's that, like, do whatever you need to do on the public forum, because he's such a spectacle. So many eyes are on him. Like I'm saying, whether you want to fucking be Watford AJ or whether you want to be President AJ, just what really needs to happen is that divide between that and the ring, rather than, like we've seen, when he's nice outside the ring, he's nice in the ring, and when he's an animal outside, then he turns into, like, that needs to go. That's the thing. Whatever happens.
The problem is like, Dillian is actually the closest thing, because he is a wild motherfucker. And he is savage, and like I said, he's like chewing supplements. Del Boy is not on chewing supplement levels. Del Boy's not chewing supplements, mate. Dillian's chewing his BCAAs while he's talking to Coogan on an interview. Mate, that's how little fucks that geezer gives. If there's a bar
fight and like Dills and Del Boy are there, I'm
Dills. I'm Dills.
Who is going to start the shit first?
Del Boy starts that. Dillian finishes that, because anything around him, he immediately goes. Like, Dillian will stab you. Like, if it's there, it's going to get proper knifey up in that sitch. Just is. But, like, Dills, he's a fantastic, fan-friendly fighter. He's funny, he's a thug, he's an animal, he's a knockout fighter, but then he also has bad performances. And like, the worst criticism that he gets is kind of like, well, maybe he's not ready, or he was out of shape. They like saying when he has a bad performance that he didn't train properly for it, which again is probably why he keeps banging on about paying £250,000 for a training camp, which seems punchy, but punchy. Don't know if someone's nicking off of him. It's a brave fucker if they are.
Yeah, you don't want to fucking be that guy.
Yeah, because you know that dude will roll up.
Oh,
he will.
Like, he's ready to roll up.
He's always ready. Always. But like again, if Dills fights Fury, there's literally no bad ag for any of them. Like if Fury beats Dills, cool. Everyone still loves Fury. If Dills beats Fury, cool. Like it's all good. But fast forward or rewind back to when we were going to have AJ Fury. Fury beats AJ. AJ was always nothing, right? And AJ beats Fury. Fury was always nothing. Them two are up for the most criticism of all of them. And for all we know, Usyk beats him again the second time and puts maybe AJ retires, maybe he goes down a different route. Who knows? Maybe he starts, toiling away again to get his belts back, but he's quite far down the list at that point. They've already got him at like number 5 for the WBA, and it's like, well, he was champion 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But then you got like a Joyce. A Joyce, I don't know if anyone can hand on heart say that they are a Joe Joyce fan. Like, and that's not a knock on him whatsoever. As far as I was concerned, he won the gold. He's got a herky-jerky, weird style. For all we know, he is our generation's George Foreman. Like, he's clearly thuddingly powerful. He's strong as fuck. He takes a big shot. Like, but who cares?
If you ask someone who their favorite heavyweight was, or even UK heavyweight, you'd have to ask a lot of people before Joyce was the answer.
He's even mentioned, And then the same with Dubois, who's got to be, the number 5 UK heavyweight. It's got to be, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fury, AJ, Dillian, Joyce, Dubois. Yeah. We've seen Dubois. I don't want to, it is rude for me to... We've seen Dubois decide not to continue a fight rightly.
Yep.
For the future of his career, for the future of his face, and for the future of his health.
Yep.
We saw that happen. I don't think Fury would have done that. Dillian goes out flat on his back.
Yeah. And
I don't think Joyce does that. I'm undecided if something... Because we haven't really seen anything bad happen to AJ.
Yeah.
The swelling of the eye, whoever he had in his corner done a fantastic job of that, proper quick.
Yeah.
Other than that, we haven't really seen him cut. We haven't really seen him take any real, facial or body damage where you can see he's hurt and he's had to go through it. But I don't think he won't.
Do you know who oddly reacts?
Go on.
I mean, it's terrible even saying this because history will say opposite. But Floyd, the few times where something
I've always said that about him. You hurt him, you're in trouble.
But also, in the instant, reacts quite frantically. Do you know what I mean? Remember when Maidana, he was saying, was biting him? It's like, bro, he's got a fucking mouth guard on and you've got gloves on. How did he bite your hand that hard? Or with the eye, he was really and then obviously...
Yeah, you're right, actually.
Where he brings it around. But in that instant, and AJ seems to have that. He really seems to have that, oh, fuck. With Takam, when he's, knows when the eye was kind of going and things like that, he gets a bit oh. You can't base it because look at Floyd. He will turn it around in an instant. But in that split moment, some people, they'll be Sakuraba is the example that comes to me. His ear was literally hanging off.
Yeah, actually hanging off.
Yeah. Or when his arm was just the wrong way around. He's just my arm is fucking...
But you know what? I have complete faith that Joyce and Fury both do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I actually think that Dills' corner pulls him out before he goes out. I don't think
Joyce notices until a few days later.
If he notices.
Yeah.
That boy is... that. After that Dubois fight, I am fully Team Joyce. I don't know where he fits in with the other 3, but... let's see. I think that we get Joyce and Fury, and I think it's like Feb time, and I think we're gonna get like Whyte versus it's somewhat just some random.
Mate, Joyce AJ could be a fucking nightmare fight for AJ because he'll just keep coming.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't see that's not coming for a while.
No, but fuck knows how.
Yeah, that's a terrible fight. That's a terrible fight for him. But then I think they've sparred. This is the thing with AJ. I think we actually don't really know. They've done such a good job of keeping AJ away that no one really knows that much about him. So see, like I feel like we know enough about Fury in, out, and around the ring to get a good gauge of who and what he is. I kind of feel the same with Joyce because he's actually pretty visible.
Yeah.
Because no one cares. So he's having to be visible, you know, like he's got the S-Jam boys, which are the same social media. What are they? Stains? Minions? Whatever they are.
Our local plebs. Yeah. We love your video.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the Vits are G's, but also don't send out advice. Just don't. Silly vitamins. Anywho, I've been calling Sam Keith, spelt Keef, because he looks like he should be a Keith. But we've been calling him Keith the Creative, and I think he quite likes it now.
Does some banging work, our Sam.
Yeah, he's done some really good work, the boy. But right, so look. Again, Joyce is more famous than Dubois. I don't really know where Dubois fits in this whole thing, right? I know he's a unit. I know he's a powerful punching.
Greatest strength, I think, is his age because he's in one of them things. You know, sometimes you just got some Olympics when you look at the times. It's like if you were any other Olympics, you would have fucking won. But you're against Usain Bolt, so you ain't getting shit. He might outlast all that because. And this is why, to me, Fury is the lineal champ, because on paper, 100% you're correct that by proxy now, Usyk / AJ, they have the better resume. But I think the belts are Fury's in waiting. It's just like, I don't see anyone beating him. So even though he's like the uncrowned king, he's got a bit of the crown. When it comes down to it, I pick, like, there's no one versus Fury where I go against Fury. So
yeah, I'm with you on that one. And he is unashamedly himself.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't have the problems of like, which person do I portray? He's just like, fucking, and there's a freedom in that.
So going back to the original question, what do you think it is that makes people so on AJ's nuts and then just shun him? Because like let me just finish. Like for me, I thought Usyk was going to win, okay, but I still stand firm that despite and I'll debate with anyone with the video, he was holding his own with Usyk in the same vein that Luke Campbell did well against Loma.
Absolutely.
For 1 minute of the 3, he did well. But unfortunately, 2 minutes of the 3 is more than 1 minute.
Yeah.
And he lost. Conclusively, but he did all right. I stand firm that version of AJ was probably a miscalculation by their camp, but it wasn't bad. And I think that gives a lot of problems to, I mean, even a Fury. You just wouldn't expect it, would you? You wouldn't be prepared for that to be the situation, I wouldn't have thought. I don't know.
I don't think, because there wasn't an X factor. Like, I think that was the best version of AJ, and I was super, like, we've said that, and straight after we're like, I don't know why everyone's hating on him for losing. Like, that was a great performance. There was
that's the point of this episode. Why is everyone hating on him for losing?
See, I think that's a double-edged sword, because when you're going to get that much of a following, like if we go into Joyce's bank account, Dubois' bank account, even Fury's bank account, it ain't going to be shit compared to AJ's. So when you've got that many eyes on you, you get the money, but you're going to get the haters as well. It's just like people don't do shit with their lives. They just waiting to hate on someone. And the thing that I hate is people almost take a credit for just hating on everyone. And then eventually they're right. And then they're like, see, I said it. It's like, it took no effort for you to sit on your fucking ass, chatting shit about people that are out there trying to make their dreams happen and have achieved infinitely more than you fucking ever will. How is that a badge of honor to wear? But a lot of people, that's their default. It's just the way it is, you know? And I do think AJ will get the brunt of it. Fury as well, too, just because of the person he is. That's the other thing. Like Floyd, he made a fortune off that. Just being like, listen, I'll chat all the shit, and most of you motherfuckers want to see me lose, but you're paying for that. So I don't give a shit. And he almost used that as a fuel to win.
But the problem is with AJ is that no one wants to see him lose. Well, it doesn't seem like many people want to see him lose. His fan base will be overwhelmingly in that camp. But the second he does, that same fan base, boom. And it's not just the casuals like we've spoken about before. We're talking like industry peeps. You're talking like, you know, people like friends of ours that are just like, they're immediately, you know, they're calling him, you know, Frank Bruno, and he's this and he ain't that, he should have done. Everyone's got their big boy opinions, and it's just like, look, you know, I'm sure that they had a pretty good idea. In that interview, though, what was quite interesting, he didn't really say that he was getting rid of McCracken.
Yeah.
But he also didn't say that. I mean, he kind of alluded that he was just going to start working with as many trainers as he possibly can, which, to be fair, like in this Jack Dempsey book I'm listening to at the minute, because reading is for... it's like there's a part where he talks about like all of the illustrious heavyweights at the time, they would just kind of like just train together, and just share and spar and do all this other stuff before it got all secretive. And you know, the money was big then, like comparatively figures wise, it's different, but then the money was still just as big. So when he says that he's going to do that, I quite like that.
Yeah, for sure. That was the thing. I remember when I started coaching and people be like, oh, I'm going to go to another gym if that's okay. And it's like, that's how I learned. Like, I feel like the versatility comes from no one person knows everything. So it's good to go. Obviously, you got your loyalty to a place, but there's nothing wrong with picking up bits and pieces and bringing it all together, because you need to get rid of what doesn't work for you and what makes you the best version of you. And a lot of eyes will do that. Too many confuses the situation, but he's only going to the best of the best. So I think it's a great move. You got a lot of experience to catch up on if you want to catch up with Usyk, you know? So
this we'll get into that in a bit with the rematch, but this kind of leads me to what I was going to say then, which I've actually kind of forgotten in a minute, but I'm going to waffle until I remember what it was, which is a professional's move.
There you go.
They're a professional's move. No, but what he was saying was like that he had Rob and Angel and the other guy. So he's got like Rob McCracken as the head coach, and then he's got like 3 others that he works with. The problems of being Hollywood. And they didn't quite mesh as a team together.
Yeah.
Now, when I was listening to him say that, it made me a little bit uncomfortable, because even for me, I was just like, ultimately, this has got to be on you, right? I understand that you got to have your lieutenants and you're the general. I get that. And I get that it's only you, because it is only you going into the ring. I that was the one part of the interview that I wasn't vibing with, when everything else was fine. Like I quite liked, I know what I need to do. I've got to do it, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I didn't like he alluded that the team let him down. Okay. Yeah. Now, as a fan and as someone who's got more opinions that I can actually verbalize, you know your plan, right? You know what the general outcome is. And you can't also tell me that you have no idea what Alexander Usyk does, or what he is. You can't just give blind faith to the team, because that is a semi-cop-out. That's built-in accountability of the highest. Like, I'm out because these are the ones that sorted it out for me. and I was doing what I'm told.
Yeah.
The onus has to be, you know, you can't act like that. That was the only part of that interview that I didn't really agree with. And I just think that for him, maybe if you keep Rob but start, it's never going to work. You're never going to have McCracken, who is a head coach in his own right. I don't think it's ever going to work with another full force head coach, especially if you're going out to bring them in, especially. It's going to clash.
Yeah, it's like when they get the World Cups or the All Stars, you know, where they get a team, but it's built on a bunch of MVPs.
Yeah,
and then
it never
got all
works.
these incredible people that you're trying to make gel together, and they're used to being the star. It's like, oh, fuck this. I can see how that would happen too. But bringing on board advisors is, I think, the way forward.
It's absolutely the way forward. And when you have the resource and the power of an AJ,
yeah,
you are going to get that. But even then, even in interview, he was having little jokes and talking about, like, they're talking to him about percentages and stuff like that. And it's like, well, yeah, of course, because you're going into a pretty big fight, and they're not going to do it on the hour.
Yeah, yeah.
They're gonna want, you know, if they're going to invest their time in this, I get it. For me, the reason I think people don't like AJ is because I think they want him to be the extremes. They either want him to be like a fucking 6'7" jacked destroyer Barack Obama, or they want him to be Hood Watford AJ fully. I'm not doing interviews. I'm bashing cameras out the fucking way. You know, F you, fucking Hugo Boss, blah, blah, blah. Under Armour, suck my dick. Imagine that fucking billboard. just AJ on the stool. The new boxer jock, 12-inch inseam. Boom. There's no way AJ hasn't got the biggest piece out of all of them. It's just not. Well, I don't know. Maybe Dillian's got one of those. I reckon Dillian's has got like an old horse arc in the back. I reckon he can send it. Anyway. But yeah, so like, where do we really start to look now? Because let's say AJ and Usyk, let's say he does win the rematch, which,
yeah,
they're out. They're out the picture for at least 18 months. Them two. Do we continue to love and adore Fury, or does he fuck it up again? That's the question. And with him, the blame is actually warranted. It's not like, oh, he got COVID, boo. It's like we've all had pretty significant reasons to not really be that cool with Tyson. PEDs, there's been a history of like glove stuff. Like, you know, immediately the UK population always have a little bit of a neg thing about the gypsy community, which, to be fair, they don't really bother anyone.
I mean, to be like, I think the thing I didn't like Fury previously.
Yeah.
And like, since his comeback, there hasn't really been anything where I'm like, fucking Fury. Like, and all the things like the PEDs, Dill has that.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ will just skim past because nothing has officially been said. So whatever. Gloves, Dillian's had that. AJ hasn't had that. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of like the things.
Yeah. They're all much of a muchness, except for old Joey Joyce. He ain't had nothing.
Yeah.
But again, it's because like
he can't afford to. Like he knows people are waiting for a reason to fucking brush him aside. So what was I gonna say? Yeah. So we talked about this before on air, but I know you were saying like you don't think Dill has an injury. I definitely don't think Dill is the sort of person to fake an injury. But that being said, I also think being this close to mandatory where it actually will mean something, in his head, he's probably like, I don't need another Povetkin. Like, I don't want to be tied into a fucking rematch with Otto Wallen and miss out on this for fuck knows how long, where I can just like kind of piece out of this one, get a bigger one. Because I don't even really think that's backing out of a fight. If you're backing out of like a meh fight for a mega fight, it sucks, but you can make it up later. Do you know what I mean? As long as you end up fighting the best.
But this is ultimately the question, right? Tell me a bad Dillian fight. There's not many of them.
I mean, yeah, I can think of one, but yeah, there's not many of them.
As in, like, a boring fight. The one in Dubai was boring when he turned up about 17 stone overweight.
That was the one.
That's the only one. Like, you know, the Rivas fight had a lot to do with it. It was a fun fight.
Yeah.
You know, all of his fights are normally quite fun. Povetkin, the first one, when he got starched, right? But he is still that, and he is kind of a fan-friendly, fan favourite. But yet again, everyone's like, he's not injured. What a prick. You know, that's the crux of it. What do you want him to do? So say he fights Wallin, and Wallin has the night of his life, and he's an awkward fucker already.
Yeah.
Say he has the night of his life and makes Dills look absolute dog shit and beats him on a decision. Now what? Boring. Fuck.
Yeah.
It's not like he can avenge it like the Povetkin one, because the Povetkin one, he was battering him, and then he just got licked. If it's like that with a Wallin's just going to try and box his face off. It's just going to be dry.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, if he is injured, I think more than likely he probably is. If he isn't injured, I get it.
Yeah.
And I don't, but I don't see how many
people. Fury with the COVID, I'm just like,
exactly. When you put it in perspective with Serge and Derek, like that was a good way of saying it. Like, you cost me 100 mil, you pricks. So how about this? How about I'm going to delay you lot for a bit?
Yeah. Interesting times, brother. Interesting times.
It is a little bit. And then, like, again, who cares about Dubois?
Yeah.
I don't think he's come anywhere near earning a mandatory spot, because the last mandatory spot was fucking Povetkin for that belt. It's a big difference, isn't it? Like, Povetkin now, if you had Dubois Povetkin, you would be like, Dubois probably will win this because he's so much younger, and Povetkin retired and he's 41 now and all this other stuff. But you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of like, with the rematch with Dillian, I was kind of like, I want Dills to win, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, we were like, we think he will, but Povetkin's like, one of them guys.
He kind of fucking has to win. Yeah. Like, but again, like, Dubois in the conversation still. Joyce, at least in his defence, everyone's so used to just letting him like toil on BT Sport or ITV at the beginning or whatever, that he's just going to keep chopping away. I think he chops away and gets a decent fight.
He doesn't have the benefit of Dubois' age. That's the only thing.
No, he doesn't. He's actually much older than you think he is.
Yeah.
Is he like 34, 35?
I think even...
He might be 36, 37.
He's getting there.
Yeah, he's deep in the 30s. And maybe it wouldn't be that bad if he got the Fury fight.
Yeah.
I'd buy it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, Joyce legit is one of those guys. It may not be the most like entertaining in like firefight, but I think he gives a fucking fight to most people. That chin and punching power is a bad combo.
He proper won us over that night in December last year, didn't he?
I think the thing with Fury would be his foot speed. Like, that will be his undoing. But against everyone, like, it's the sort of thing where I wouldn't be like, yeah, fucking yes, Joyce is fighting. But at the same time, when it came to making a pick, I'd be like, oh shit, he's one of those guys too, like Povetkin, where you're like, you know, he might.
Yeah. So I think Dubois lurks around until he gets picked off by the up and coming heavyweights, right? And when I say up and coming heavyweights, you got someone like a Johnny Fisher who is a while away from fighting a Dubois, but Johnny Fisher sold 1,400 tickets on his own for the O2 show on Saturday. He's got a great camp. He's part with Joyce. He's with Fabio. He's with Dillian. He's with all of the big boys, Fury, for fuck's sake. Like, he is doing everything right. And I think that they're going to be fast-tracking him pretty much. It's not going to be that long before he's on, like, the 12, 14, 15 fights, especially with how frequently they're getting him out. Then all of a sudden, like, he starts to get in range of a Dubois for a big fight to take the scalp. Then you got Fabio.
Yes.
I would not be surprised if Fabio started to really do some bits.
Yeah,
right?
he's like literally on those names that we keep talking about.
Yep.
He's the front line to jump into that mix.
Could you imagine if you had like Jared Anderson and Fabio for like an interim title or something? And then obviously, although not British, but Babbage is lurking around. Right, and
he's
even
going to
then,
be partly British now. Like,
we've claimed him.
It's like we do with Kostya, like.
Yeah. I want Tim to fight here.
Tim's fighting soon.
Yeah, but he's fighting some Japanese dude.
Inoue.
Who is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's not Inoue.
It's an Inoue. Yeah, it's not the Inoue.
Nah.
Good fighter though.
So do you think maybe we should just be kinder to everyone, or do you just think that?
Yes.
Do you think that maybe? Interestingly, I was actually chatting a little bit with Tyler today about this, and he was saying that basically, like we're one of the only people that showed him any love all the way through, and it's just so up and down being a fighter, and I can see it, and I just don't understand. I don't personally get why. I never understood why people all they wanted to see was Nazim get done. I never understood why all you wanted to see was Floyd get beat, and the only time I ever was against Floyd was with Hatton. And I'm allowed that because I'm British, right?
I think combat sports is the worst for you're only as good as your last performance. It's the amount of people that are just ride or die the whole way through is very low. There's a lot of bandwagon hopping because people just want to be around the baddest motherfucker or like claim that as theirs. And they almost take like someone losing as like... No, it doesn't work like that. And I don't see why there's more of like, that was a fucking great fight. There were two people that put on a hell of a performance. It's always like, this guy beat the fuck out of this one and that's it,
That's perfect, right? Why is there not much more celebration? You don't have to pick sides. Sometimes, and this must come from the soccer kicking.
Yeah.
Because they have to pick sides. They do it with tennis. They're like, it was a fucking great match.
Bless her. Massey knew to stay the fuck out, but it almost kicked off big time at one of the fight nights because just what was being said, I had to take one of them outside and be like, listen, support your guy, but don't you fucking dare be saying the shit you're saying about the opponent who was one of our guys. It's like, unless you want to fucking get up there, and you don't have to get up there because we can do it out here. But just know there's a big difference between supporting your man and talking shit about the other one. They don't have to be, just support your guy. And if your guy doesn't win, still fucking support him.
That poor guy probably just went, the guy that looks like every single fucking henchman in every action film is so angry at me right now. And he looks like he's wearing stretchy jeans. Fuck.
I mean, look, it was just that age-old thing where because he was with like a few dudes, he probably thought that was the thing. But the few dudes, I think it had less to drink to him and just realized like we ain't part of this shit. So then it de-escalated, and that's cool. There's no need for it to kick off. But people shouldn't be talking shit, especially about fighters. So much goes into it. People don't understand.
Do you think it was like this in previous eras?
I mean,
the history books say no.
Yes and no, but you look at a lot of the bit like people hated Ali at first. Like, yes, obviously, like as Cassius when he changed to Ali, but even throughout, people didn't like her. There was always something about a lot of them. I think you have to go back to like Dempsey, Marciano, those sorts of guys, like because clearly Jack Johnson is not like the amount of stuff he had to go through.
Oh wait, I took the this is completely off piste, but in topic. I took my girls to see my grandparents, their great grandparents today. Now my great grandparents are 89 and 90, and they have been. My granddad's best friend was killed by the Cray, one of the Crays, for calling them a homophobic slur. They are Stepney through and through. Right, every single one that's got grandparents from the East End always have some sort of mad link to the Crays, But when we've watched the Tom Hardy film with her, my nan was literally like, "That's not what happened. That's not what happened. She didn't look like that. She was ugly. No, they didn't live in them flats. Bollocks. No, they lived over here." For example. Now, Emma has do you know, you don't know what an LOL doll is, but LOL dolls are these weird cartoon, big head, big eyes, little bodies, kind of look like anime mijays. Think Powerpuff Girls.
Right.
Emma's one is called Queen Bee, and obviously Queen Bee, yas, black with gold afro. Literally walked in, they haven't seen my granddad in 2 weeks. Instead of even saying hello, in she comes with her black doll. "Oh, that's good, girl. You're not racist." Anyway, granddad. I don't even know why we were talking about race now.
Oh, because Jack Johnson.
Oh, Jack Johnson, yeah. People hated him because he was black.
Yeah. And
that's all it was.
Shitloads of that. The Tyson, when he was the version of Tyson that the media liked, they were with him. Never had sponsors, though.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's easier now. That's the problem. Before, there were people on a television, and yes, it would be mainstream media, so they'd be told what to say. But within realms, within reason, it was essentially a narrative. Now, any fucker with a phone is someone to be listened to, and every cunt wants to fucking have, like, say that their opinion never stepped through the ropes in their lives, but they want their opinion to be solid, and that's what there's a lot of it. And people now just think the louder you say it, the more it means, or the more people that are listening.
Who's the most like Trumpy neg person that you know about fighters? Now I know who my guy is. It's probably going to be my boy Ewan. Like it's probably going to be him because he is so neg. Like at one point we was trying to sort out a thing because he hated Brendan Schaub for so long.
Right.
I was going to get him a message for his birthday because long story, but yeah.
Yeah, I get like on Insta after the fights, there'll be a few people that like I think they get the picture after a while, but they'll just habitually talk shit about whoever lost and like try and make jokes. It's like, I don't think that's fucking funny. Like if there's a joke in it, cool. Like if something happened,
if it's funny, then it's funny. But,
exactly.
You
but
know, don't
like
just
someone lost. It's like, yeah, okay. What was your record again, or what have you achieved again? You know, so. I don't know. I don't want to be the fucking cancel police, but at the same time, like we said, it's just sometimes there was a great fight and someone has to lose it. Yep. That's the thing. It doesn't mean they're shit. Just means on that night they weren't better. Maybe on the rematch they will. Maybe they won't ever, but still, great fucking fight.
I think people should stop fucking about on Twitter.
Yeah.
I reckon there should be like a warning system where if you're mugging people off to a certain level, then they get automatically sent your name and details, which you have to put into social media.
But people have said there needs to be some like level of accountability where it has to be like an official. You can't create multiple accounts. You get an account and it has your details. And let's see how much shit is talked then.
Imagine if someone started to do the Jay and Bob. Yeah, they always. Do you remember Jay and Bob?
Yeah.
Strike Back.
Yeah, that was the best.
Yeah, did you say this? Yeah. And then it was that smooth swoop kick, weren't it? So sad. Anyway, but no, look, there's a couple of people that have done that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll fight you. Let's fight.
All right, my brother. Well, this is supposed to be 30. I'm going to get in mucho trouble, but I must.
My bad.
No worries. I must depart. Apologies, listeners.
Bye.
It has been beautiful. Later.